as I said, I think last week, man, I like our group. Really, the thing that you judge at this stage is to make sure that everybody's attitude is right and that they're giving great effort, and we're certainly doing that. And we've been together long enough now that we're starting to establish an identity as a team. As I said earlier, I think we're athletic, I think we're versatile, I think we've got a number of interactive pieces, and now it's just a matter of continuing to figure out the best way for us to be successful.
You've talked about this some, I think last week, but how efficient can this offense be?
You know what, I think we have more ball handlers. Last year, our biggest issue was turnovers. And that's been uncharacteristic for us because typically we've had a lead guard, whether it be Todd Abernathy when I first got here, or Chris Warren, or Jarvis Summers, or Stephon Moody. We've always had a guy that dominated the ball and for the most part, protected it fairly well. And so for the most part, we've been pretty efficient as it relates to our turnover margin. Last year, we just did not have a lead guy that we felt comfortable with that was going to do the things we needed game in and game out. Once Breein got healthier at the end of the season, I think some of those things took care of themselves. Now Bree's back healthy, he's in year 2. Terrence Davis, who obviously had a monster sophomore year, is much more comfortable in his role making decisions with the ball. DeAndre Burnett, after being in the program now over a year, as a 5th-year senior, is a guy that we trust with the ball. And then you bring in a guy like Mark Crawford, whose basketball IQ is off the charts, who can play a multitude of different positions and for the most part makes good decisions with the ball. So I think overall it gives us a lot of different playmakers on the perimeter, which leads to our versatility.
With the depth you have, do you see yourself at times splitting like 4 guards?
I think so. I think there are opportunities for Markell to kind of play a little bit of a face 4. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. He's strong. He understands how to guard. So there will be times, if we wanted to put a guard-oriented group, I could see Breein Tyree, DeAndre Burnett, TD, Kell all together, and then you still got Devontae Shuler, who could be in that mix as well as one of those 4 along with a big. We got to be able to rebound. We got to find a way to rebound. TD last year got around 5.5 a game as a wing. Markell got about 4.5 a game. I've challenged him if we could get 13 between the two. I think it'll give us a lot of versatility on the way we want to play.
I know last year you talked about the next step for TD being on the defensive end, and particularly with the foul trouble he got in. Where do you think he has come with that?
A long ways. He's just much more conscious of it. He's grown up a little bit. He's much more mature. We've challenged him defensively, and I think Markell's presence has helped him because he sees how hard Markell plays defensively, and TD's probably playing better defensively than he ever has to this point. When you get to the games and those lights come on, then sometimes you have a tendency to overdo things. And I think that was really his problem last year, trying to do too much defensively, and it led to fouls, which unfortunately took him out of the game and took him out of rhythm.
Did the SEC officiating and rules and emphasis on pace of play and all that, did that play into some of the problems he was having last year?
I think every year as you start the season, there's going to be a lot of stoppages of play. There's going to be different rule emphasis. Whether it be hands or physical contact in the post or play at the basket. There's a lot of different things they talk about, and they hammer it into these officials all off season. So it just stands to reason that when you get into those November and early December games, there's going to be a very, very tight whistle. As the officials get more comfortable with the new rules, as the players get more comfortable with the new rules, I think you see better flow towards the end of December. And most definitely when you get into conference play, it's going to be physical as always.
Coach, how excited are you about this team this season, just from the years past? What have you seen from the team the off-season and the way workouts have been?
I like this group. I like what I've seen to this point. I think we've got a good mix of old with new. As I've said earlier, I think we're athletic. I think we've got some size. We got a legitimate 7-footer. We got 2 guys in our program, and Dominic Olanichek and Carlos Schillings, and Dom's about 7 feet, around 250, and Carlos is about 6'11 and a half, about 255. So 2 big bodies at the basket that we haven't had. And Dom gives us something from a shot blocking standpoint. I don't think he's going to do what Reginald Buckner did. I think Reggie's still in the top 5 in the history of the SEC as far as shot blocks, but he does give us a real presence because of his length and athleticism, which allows us to do more things aggressively on the perimeter defensively.
Expectations are high this year. How do you feel like the team will handle those?
Are they high? I mean, You know, I would assume we would, you know, all the preseason mags, I haven't seen you guys as the publisher of any of them, but I haven't seen us any higher than 9th or 10th, which is typically the case, you know. When you, and I don't blame anybody, I don't even really get upset about it, it's just par for the course. You know, when the season rolls around, okay, Kentucky's gonna be 1, 2, or 3, and you say, well, who's on their team? Well, I don't know who's on their team, but Kentucky's gonna be 1, 2, or 3. And you say, okay, Ole Miss is gonna be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, who's on their team? Well, I don't know who's on their team, but they're gonna be 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, so it's just par for the course. I had an idea, what do you guys think? You know, we've always, college basketball struggles with an identity in November for obvious reasons. You tip off, and you're tipping off right in the heart of football season, most especially in the South. So I had an idea that we should do away with preseason polls. And the first poll should be, I think you should do that in all sports, by the way, but I think the first poll should be maybe in early December, where teams have played 5, 6, 7 games, and then kind of unveil the initial top 20 based on merit other than, you know, someone's subjection of who they happen to like. What do you think?
You've been talking with Tommy Tupperville?
Was that his
That was,
idea?
that was an idea
Well,
he
I hate
had.
to bring it up. Scratch that. No, I'm kidding, I like Tub. I think around here, there's still some people that still have some bitter feelings, so I heard.
How is Carlos coming along with, you know, I know he had the knee injury, like, I guess, November, December?
December, he had surgery in December. He hurt it, he had the ACL tear in a non-contact drill in practice in early December. Just based on the break and the surgeons and such, the surgery was not until right after Christmas. So he's 9 months into this. The difference between him and Bree is he's such a big kid, you know, he's 260 pounds. And so with that comes a little bit of a wait and see approach, but he's back full speed, hadn't missed a day. He says it doesn't bother him. He's trying to get more confident with it. And I try to remember back when Bree first was cleared to play, which was in November of last year in 5-on-5, and boy, how unathletic and tentative he was. And for a guy that's been through 6 knee operations, 2 ACLs, I get that.
When you talk about turnovers, protecting the ball, what have you seen in Bree and in camp so far?
You know, Bree is much improved physically. He's got a lot more confidence in what we're doing just based on his experience. And he has the ability to separate. You know, a lot of times turnovers are because you can't get separation. You're constantly playing in traffic because of your physical abilities or what have you to separate. Now Bree has the ability to separate. Now it's just a matter of him making good decisions with the ball. He wants to be a home run hitter a little too much. You know, he's trying to make the play as opposed to what the game gives him. And that's just the next step in his maturation. But his ability to separate now is completely different than really even he was at the end of last year.
Do you think Brian's emergence has made Dre a little more comfortable since he, you know, he had to play 1 a little bit last year?
And he's gonna play 1 some this year. You know, I think Dre's fine at the 1. I think with Dre, he played all year with a torn ligament in his thumb, and then he had some knee problems, and then he had been basically sitting out for a long time. If you think about his track, he goes to Miami, he gets hurt in the exhibition game or right before the exhibition game, so he sits out all of his freshman year. He plays as a redshirt freshman, and then he sits for us. So in essence, he was sitting 2 of the last 3 years prior to him being eligible for us last year, and he still got us around 17 a game. He wasn't as efficient as he needs to be, and I think he'll be the first to tell you that. But he's much improved as well, just from the experience, and it's the first time in his collegiate career he's gonna actually play back-to-back years.